Sorry, forgot that.
Huh? First of all, I don't believe that Patriot Academy is a viable resource for us to use for education because we only have access to it through the end of the year. So, I know that's been pushed a lot, but it's, I think, quite expensive to be able to use it. And I'm about halfway through a Patriot Academy course that I've been teaching as a coach, and I'm finding the video material, the way it's formatted is a little too long. About like an hour-and-a-half video is kind of tough to get everybody to really stay engaged through. And just the format of the Patriot Academy, it's too dense. There's too much information given too fast. So for those reasons, I don't think it's necessarily something viable for us to use. I think what it might be a better option to use is, excuse me, COS University. We have those courses which are available for the general public, and if we're educating the general public, why not point them to our basic introduction courses in COS University, and then the Constitution class that Michael Ferris does in COS University. So, that gets people directly engaged with our training content.
Do they have to? You have to create an account for that?
Yeah.
COSConventionofstates.com.
Yeah, you just need to create an account, and then you have access to some of the COS University stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that's not specific to training for a role.
So that makes them a supporter then too, right? They go on the book as a supporter.
Hey, Paul, how long is the Michael Ferris Constitution course?
Let me look it up here. And constitutional literacy. So there's 1, 2, 3, like 3 videos, and let's see, that one's 1 minute, which is just an introduction. There's a 17-minute video which focuses on, was the Constitution illegally adopted? And then there's another Ferris video that's 21 minutes. So less than 40 minutes for the 2 main videos there.
I kind of like what you're saying because, this sounds real good to be able to introduce them into this kind of knowledge and, might inspire them to tread further rather than overwhelming them and losing everybody. It's kind of wet their whistle,
Yeah. And then, so those are my couple thoughts. And then I've got one other comment here, and maybe it's more of a criticism that I think before we focus a lot on getting outsiders to do education, we need to get ourselves to do education because we have so many people who have not done the COS University courses, and I'm not talking about new trainees. Veteran district captains and other leadership positions still haven't gone through the COS University stuff that they should. So maybe that's the first place to focus our efforts is getting our own volunteers to get educated.
Well, those are both good points, Paul. I've been the second point, the second one you just brought up. I think that's an issue that we should deal with on a separate basis. I not as part of the education program that I have in mind here is something that to be delivered to the public. Well, and that's what the goal says, is to deliver a program to the public, for the general public.
Right.
So, your second point, I'd like to set that off to the side if we could, for right now. But your first point, I think that's a good point. Are we gonna be allowed, do you think, to not utilize the Patriot Academy training? I mean, are we going to do we just then let people that want to do that on their own do it on their own, and we just don't try to incorporate it into any kind of program, statewide program for us? Is that what you're saying?
I think it'd be pretty tough to do that.
Yeah.
Pretty tough to do what?
Use Patriot Academy statewide, unless we've got some coaches who are willing to pay the $97 a month to be able to teach it.
Yeah.
Oh.
$97 a year, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They didn't prorate it?
They gave it to us free for the rest of this year.
But then starting next year, the lowest cost program is $97, and that's for 1 year, right? A license for 1 year.
Right.
This is that program that with Mark Meckler introduced us to, right? A couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that.
Now, you know, the Michael Ferris program, Constitutional Literacy, that's what Debbie Stewart is presenting.
Right.
On COS Indiana Live. Now she's modifying each of the chapters to fit into the time frame that we have on COS Indiana Live. She's modifying those, but that is the program that she teaches. She teaches that program in her homeschool classes. Yeah.
Well, on COS University, there's just 1 or 2 videos of that. I think we used to have the whole thing. We were licensed to use it, but I don't think we are anymore.
What about anything offered by Hillsdale?
We could certainly point people to that. That's free.
Yeah, that would be kind of a work on your own type program through Hillsdale. Do it at your own pace type thing.
Mm-hmm. No, we could study it and paraphrase it in lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, is our objective to try to get these educational meetings so that we can do them in a group setting, or more present through like Zoom and then have discussion, or is that to be determined yet?
Well, what I had in mind, Gary, was whatever we decided we wanted to offer, that we would pursue offering it on a virtual basis, and that we would utilize Rick. That's why I've got him included in this meeting. That we would offer these in perhaps like a town hall type meeting setting, and do it virtually. you know, that they can include some educational segments, or we can include legislators. We can we could, you know, however we want to develop the program, and you know, that's what I was hoping that Richard would help put together and utilize Rick in doing that. That's what I had in mind. And then, of course, promote it via the other platforms that we have, which would include the Social Media Warriors, Facebook page, email blast program, so on and so forth. That's kind of what I had in mind. Is that feasible, do you think?
Are we going to look to present this primarily to people who've already signed our petition, or to people in the general public that we're trying to attract to these classes?
I guess what I had in mind was, well, we could certainly promote it to the general public through our social platforms, social media platforms. But we could, once we get an email blast program up and running, then we could put this out to our supporters.
Okay.
Is that something? Do you think we want? Do you think we want Richard to pursue something like that, or what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I think it bears, certainly bears looking at it and seeing if we can develop something like that. How many, we talking about, like one 1 hour, or 2 1 hour, or 3 1 hour sessions, or I guess, you know, what do we think people would sign into or buy into from a student's perspective to learn more?
I don't know how. I think that would be a goal. Would be part of what we need to come up with on this particular goal. How many of these do we want to try and hold in 2021?
Hey Dale, what's this PDF file you sent everybody at Indiana Bar Foundation? I mean, that's a whole curriculum there for different age groups.
Yeah, that's another topic. That's another topic that I wanted to talk about tonight, since we got some more information. Let's talk about that a bit. I emailed all of you some basic information that we found out through our meeting with the Indiana Bar Foundation on September 10th. Gary and Paul and I met with the director of the program, and this is the main thing they do is the Lead the People program, which is they teach the Constitution in grade schools, middle schools, and high schools. And what did he say, Gary? They had about 5,000 students.
Yeah.
Statewide, yeah.
Statewide. So I thought our meeting was very positive. I think we impressed him with who we are, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to perhaps get involved in the program and involved in the teaching process. I hope is what I would like for us to. Now, initially, there are some volunteer opportunities to participate in some of these hearings that they have. They have the students compete in what they call mock congressional hearings, and so there's an opportunity for individuals, for us to act as judges and or facilitators on these hearings, and there's a number of these hearings coming up in November and December, and they're all virtual this year because of the COVID situation. They're not typically not virtual, but this year they are virtual. So I served as a judge a couple of years ago. One of my granddaughters, well, two of them have, but one at the time was involved in the program at her middle school as an 8th grader, and I was able to serve as a judge. So, and I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the kids and their knowledge of the Constitution, and I was very impressed. It was a great experience. So, I hope to get more people involved in this coming the rest of this year in November and December. But this is another program. This is a program, like I said. Hopefully, we can get involved in this and be and actually participate as presenters.
There wouldn't be a problem using the, since it's broken up into grade levels. I mean, an adult can still go through the courses, right? You know, they got upper elementary, middle school, and high school, but you know, I would think most adults would fall in one of those categories or something, or you know, from the bottom to the top.
Well, this wouldn't involve adults. These are school-age kids involved in this.
I think that maybe the point George is making is maybe there are materials that they utilize that we could utilize also in our educational efforts.
Yeah. Well, that's possible. Yeah. Well, Richard,
a class of textbooks per year, just pay for shipping.
What?
It says that the Indiana Bar Foundation provides one class set, you know, like probably 30 textbooks or something per year for a nominal shipping fee to any teacher who teaches the program.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they specify, you know, who the students are.
Yeah, the program's designed to be taught by a certified teacher in an existing school.
Is Courtney Love still part of us, or did she drop out?
I don't know.
She's an online teacher, public school teacher. She does her teaching online. And she did mention to me that she wanted to put together some kind of government or civics course and include convention of states in it. But I think she's dropped out or something.
She was having connectivity issues from her home, but she was expecting to get that upgraded so that she could become active. That's the latest I have from Larry Hudson.
No, we can get hold of the Bar Foundation and see if they maybe have some other options or something, you know, for adult classes.
Well, okay, we're not getting very far here, are we? Is this a viable goal to develop and deliver an education program for the general public?
Yeah, I think so. I know we need it.
I think it's a goal that's going to take a number of months to really get this developed and tested.
Richard's here.
You know,
There's Richard.
brought to fruition, that we're ready to really launch it. It's going to be ready to launch on day one.
Well, okay. So where do we go from here, guys? What are we going to do? Do we, is this something that we want to do?
Well, I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think as the future months go by and stuff, people are going to have to increase their knowledge, to state their own arguments and why they don't like this group or that group, why do we not want socialism? What's wrong with the system we got? And they need to know what our system is.
Do we want to get involved in teaching the Constitution, or do we want to just teach Article 5?
I think the Constitution.
Yeah. I agree. I think we need to teach the Constitution, and Article 5 is part of that, but I think one of the challenges we've had is that people find out we're about Article 5, and they find out, well, Indiana's already passed the resolution, and so it's like the air goes out of the balloon, and what's the motivation to really be involved? But I think if we're teaching people about the Constitution, about why it matters, and why we think it's important to go back to originalism, then I think we have something that makes a lot of sense for us to pursue teaching that.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to apologize for being late to the party. I got on here and you're talking about do we or do we not want to teach the Constitution or limit just to Article 5? Well, if we stick with just Article 5, it draws out more questions to where did all this come from? We don't have to go into great detail, but I think a little bit about the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution. It's our foundation and our guiding principles. So if we highlight those areas and not get too in-depth, we can teach that to people and then kind of, unbeknownst to them, kind of groom them in towards more activism into, the educational role, not just as far as the Constitution, whatnot, but maybe progressing them into really what does it really mean for self-governance? Not just what it means to them, but what does it mean, to our country, to our foundation, our guiding principles, and our way of life, and everything that the Antifa and the BLM and the far left is trying to destroy. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and they're basing their argument on false narratives too. Saying
Sure.
things about
If you tell a lie enough times, sooner or later people tend to believe it.
Yeah. So, and plus they don't know any better anyway.
Well, Richard, what's your thoughts on if we're going to teach the Constitution? What are your thoughts on how are we going to deliver this on a statewide basis?
Well,
Can we do like in podcasts, kind of like Paul does?
we could do it.
I got
We could do it like a Facebook Live. Just have a live video to where people can log on, or we can set it up to where we have a webinar like what we're using on Free Conference Call, where we can put that information out. And it can be presented on the conference call in a PowerPoint, and I'm taking that Constitutional Academy course, and they zip through that stuff rather quickly, and then it's like fill in the blank, follow along, and it's such a fast pace. I think that if you're going to give somebody a PowerPoint and you're going to have them follow along as you're discussing something, give the individuals like the spreadsheet or the workbook part to where the blanks are, and when they see the PowerPoint that you're discussing, they see the underlined words. So they not only are they listening to what you're saying, but they're watching the screen because, okay, that underlined word right there, granted you're giving them the answer, but okay, there they have the opportunity to, okay, there's that, and fill that in. Because no one's paying 100% attention, their attention is not 100% focused on just listening and watching. Even with a combination of the two, they're not 100% there. So it's easy for people to miss a word, or if they don't, if they, you use a word in a sentence and then they don't use the exact verbiage, but they put the same, a synonym in there, well, then it's marked wrong, like in the Patriot Academy Constitution course, which, well, geez, Pete, come on, So we can kind of guide them through, and it would be simple, and and if we get some of the adults to do it, maybe their kid will sit down with them too, or I asked my daughter, I said, hey, what year was the Constitution signed? And she's like, why do I need to know that? And I was like, so they don't even teach you that in school? She's in 9th grade. Plymouth High School over here. No.
Well, I know Paul brought this up, Richard, before you got on. Paul brought up the point about this Patriot Academy, and not sure that this is going to be something that we're going to be able to utilize, at least on a statewide program basis. Maybe individuals can do this, but on a statewide program, and I'm not sure it's going to work for us.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of information out there, and they spit it out rather quickly.
Right.
That's why I go back and I review, and I am able to stop and listen and wait a minute, replay and redo that portion of the video. So, but yeah, that information it's fast and heavy hitting, and a lot of people would be overwhelmed if we had that type of educational training put out, disseminated to individuals. It would overwhelm them to where they would be like, well, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Rick, you got any thoughts?
We can play around. We can play around with the idea, and then test it amongst ourselves. And if it's a hit or a miss, then at least we can say we tried.
Can I throw something out for a second? It's not quite tied into this.
Okay.
Paul, do you pay anything for those podcasts, to do those podcasts on Podbean?
Yeah, I have to pay an annual subscription for the service that publishes them.
How much is that?
$100 a year.
Okay. I got a book that is that's a brief biography of each of our founding fathers. And I'm kind of wanting to do a podcast and go over each one. Each one would be a different podcast. Just to kind of introduce people to the founding fathers, where they came from, their background and stuff. We know that some were doctors, some were preachers, and some were just normal folk. Does that sound like something that would fly? It would help educate people, I think, give them some background. Realize that our founders were not crazy slavery demanding people, and all that sort of stuff. Hello? Crickets.
Were you directing that to Paul, George?
Well, anybody had the thing, what you think of the idea in general? Anybody?
Good idea. I like it.
So you want to have a podcast where you're sitting and just talking about our founding fathers, like at a round table.
Well, kind of like Paul's, just just the audio. Yeah, like the first podcast would be I don't know who the first one is in the book, but
Well, just pick one out of the book. Throw a name out. Throw a name in that.
Hancock.
Okay, so you're sitting and you're talking about John Hancock. So there's two of you sitting there in the podcast, and you're having a roundtable discussion back and forth about the history of the man and
no, not like that.
the
Just
Constitution.
no, just you've heard Paul's podcast, right? He just puts out the information.
Yes.
Yeah, more
I
like not really a discussion. It's just telling the people about each of the founding fathers. Each podcast would be a different founder or father or whatever.
Founding father, yes.
Yeah, not really sitting out.
Do
a one-man show or something like that. That'd be kind of
as long as it keeps it interesting. If you feel like when you're listening to someone talk on the podcast like they're talking to you, not at you, that's the easy way to keep someone's attention. The last one I listened to, I searched through, like I said, the one for the amendments. I went back and found that one. So I was like, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So are you going to do this podcast, or are you going to have Free to Be Free like interview you?
No, it'd be a separate channel, or I would do it like Paul does his. I'd kind of copy him. Not his subject matter, but I'd talk about the founding fathers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Paul, does that annual fee, is that calendar, or is that start of every year?
That's calendar. Well, no, it's whenever you start the subscription, a year from then it comes due again.
Okay.
So,
How much was that?
$100, and you just do the podcast and put it to their website, and then they provide the website for your podcast, and then they also publish your podcast on Apple and Google Play and all those other places.
It's audio, not visual, or would that be more?
It'd be the same. You could do a video podcast.
So, Paul, is that to Podbean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any limitations to it? Like you can only do 50 per year, or one,
no.
2 months or something?
There's no limit to it. And there are other services that do that same thing.
No, I really like the way yours come out.
Yeah, I got to get back to doing it. It's been a long time since I've done an episode.
Yeah, so like the first one would be Founding Fathers, hyphen George Mason. Another one would be Our Founding Father, John Hancock, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that'd be a great name for the podcast, the Founding Fathers or something like that.
That'd be kind of rough. Then you're going to talk about each one individually. Then you've got to kind of tie them all in together. How did one run in and meet the other? That for me would be the most interesting part.
Yeah.
You have the Founding Fathers, which all sorts of different backgrounds, and educational levels, and the religious similarities. But then, based on everything that was happening, how did their lives all become intertwined to where they laid out our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do something like that in the introductory podcast to introduce the whole program and stuff. But I got a good start on that with this book I got. It's another short biography of each of the founding fathers. When they were born, where they lived, where they came from, and some of their familiar family background. Like what their dad might have been, the son of a physician or something like that. They're usually like 2-3 pages long, except Hancock's is like 10 pages long in the book.
Well, it was probably written in a larger font.
Yeah.
Good one, good one. You know why he did that, right?
Yeah. So it can be read without having to use the specs.
Well, yeah, he wanted to make it plain to the British that he meant what he said, kind of thing, you know. He was proud of what they were doing, so he wrote his name really big to make it stand out. And I stand for this kind of thing.
Okay. Time out here.
All right,
Okay, George. Now this podcast thing. This is something that you want to develop on your own, right?
right.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to our program here, our education program. What if we said as a goal for 2021 is that and Richard, you would coordinate this and head this up, that we will conduct 9 virtual town hall meetings, 1 in each region, coming up for 2021, and you'll incorporate region captains, district captains, wherever you can. But we'll have a virtual town hall meeting in each region, and on the agenda for that meeting, there could be a segment on pertaining to the Constitution, a segment pertaining to Convention of States, and perhaps a legislator or two, if we can set that up. And that would be a goal for 2021, is to set those up and conduct those and utilize Rick to set those up. And Richard, part of your job would be to utilize our communications people to promote these town hall meetings. What do you think about that?
Okay.
Dale, I'd like to suggest that before we just say, okay, we're going to do so many town halls, which is great, I think we need to agree on what is it that we think we need to teach to the general public. You know, what is it? You know, everybody says, okay, we got to educate. Well, what do they need to be educated on? And you can't just say, oh, the Constitution in general. I mean, what key 3 or 4 things do we want the public to learn as a result of our education classes? And I'm not saying we need to answer that right now, but that's probably, I think, step number 1 is figuring out what it is you want people to learn, and then figure out the best way to deliver that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Yeah, Rick?
Well, I mean, for myself, this is Richard, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, you know, our foundation and our principles for everything set up on, and maybe from there, the purpose of the Constitution and everything else, and where the power really lies. Because all right, let's take, you always hear Mark Meckler say, you know, who's got the power, this and that, and what is Mark always putting out? The power is the people. Okay, so what do they understand about that? Do they understand that we, the people, we're the ones that have the power? We're the ones that make the decisions, and we dictate, and then the states have what the states have, and then what the federal government has. Right now, I mean, you ask anybody, who's in charge? Our leaders, they're not your leaders. They represent you. Those people were elected from the general populace, from we, the people, to represent us, not to lead us or control us. So maybe we need to, you know, sit down and come up with a couple of training and enabling objectives, and to figure out, you know, the awareness of people to really what their role is, and really why was the Constitution written the way it was? It was for the people.
Yeah, we got to hit them on a personal basis. Something that pertains directly to them.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that'll also help for them to realize that they need to become more active, become activists.
Yeah. I think the reason we're where we're at now in this country is, because of citizenry apathy. People didn't care. They didn't live their life and let them go about their way and weren't paying attention.
And they put their faith blindly in their politicians and not their creator. It got switched.
I don't know. I think you're getting too broad here.
Well, we're not going to go in depth like that, but that's what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Paul, what would you think would be a couple things that we would want to educate?
Well, I think Richard hit on it. When you're talking about the Declaration and the Constitution, you'd want to teach the principles it was founded on. Maybe I like calling it the American theory of government, how government's supposed to work. We get our rights first, and then government comes along. We don't get our rights from government. And the government's role is to protect our rights, not to run our lives. So, some of those basic concepts.
Yeah, that ties in nicely with COS, too. The idea is the self-governance part.
Well, and a lot of people talk about, they're a democracy, our democracy. We're not a democracy.
Right.
Maybe also we need to hit on the fact that we're a constitutional republic with checks and balances.
Yep.
And maybe they need to understand a better understanding of that as well.
Okay. Rick, can you hear us? I can't hear you. Can you hear us? Okay. I can't hear you.
We lost his picture too. At least I did.
Yeah, I can still see him.
I'll tell you, this connection has not been good.
Kicked me out a couple minutes ago. I had to come back in.
I can't see. I don't see George. I don't see Gary.
I don't have my camera turned on. I have to download some other applications to it.
I put my camera off because my battery's getting low, but I'm still here.
Okay, guys. Well, this is not going very well. not as well as I thought it was hoping it would. But I think it's. I think you probably though. I think Paul, you've raised some good points, and maybe we're jumping the gun here, or maybe I am. Certainly. And maybe we ought to try to answer, first of all, the basic question of what do we want to educate people on. I do want to do the virtual town hall meetings. I do want to do that.
Yeah.
And I do want to get legislators involved where possible. Now, if we want to try and teach something, if we want to try and educate people on something as part of those town hall meetings, I'm all for that. And I think, like Paul mentioned, I think we need to determine what it is we want to educate people on.
Dale, are you talking about like how you guys used to do it in Georgetown?
No. Probably something similar to that. I'd let Richard and Rick work out the format of that, but yeah, probably. I know Richard's done. You do town hall meetings frequently, right, Richard?
Yes. Well, I've done a couple. I've gone up to the Tea Party group in South Bend. I've spoken up there a couple times. Rochester, I went out there once. That was a disappointment, and I have them here in Plymouth. You know, I'm with We the People. I don't have any difficulty getting up and standing and speaking in front of a group. You know, or utilizing a PowerPoint to present a lecture or whatnot. I did that my last 4 years when I was in the Navy. I was an instructor, so PowerPoint presentations were easy for me.
So you know, I mean, I think Richard, you and Rick would be able to come up with a format. And we could certainly get the region captains and district captains involved where appropriate. But
sure.
as far as, you know, educating, what education we want to try and provide, I think that's what we need to answer, what we need to give some more thought to.
All right. And we'll see what's pressing topics in certain regions, as far as the communication with the district captains in their areas and the region captains, as far as, you know, what's going on and whatnot.
You know, Paul, maybe one of the exercises at the follow-up strategy meeting is to get feedback from people on what they would like to see us. What education they think we should provide.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, we probably need to develop what the goals are of the educational program, and then we can develop a program around the goals you want to accomplish. You know, what's the outcome we're looking for people who have been through our educational program or training.
Can we agree on that that we want to do some number of town hall meetings next year, virtual town hall meetings, and we'll seek seek input at the upcoming strategies for what kind of agenda we want to offer in those. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Dale, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can't see you, but I can hear you now.
Okay. I jumped out and then jumped back in, but I think if you're going to do that, I like the idea of the one meeting per district. But if you do that, I'd suggest maybe assigning a month to each district, and then maybe assigning them a topic. If each district's going to be responsible for putting one of those together, I'm not sure what you've got in mind.
The region.
Or region. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
It gets each one then something to do and gets them involved.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you want to try and meet again before the 17th, or should we have we got enough to go into the meeting on the 17th with right now?
I'd say we take this to the meeting on the 17th and try and get some input on what we need to educate people on.
All right. Okay, so we're going to go into the 17th meeting. We're looking at doing 9 town hall meetings next year, 1 per region, and right now we're looking for feedback from everyone as to what those what the agendas would be.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. And Richard and Rick will handle it all. That
You
makes
mean
sense.
like topics of the town hall, right?
I'm just kidding.
No problem.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. All right. Okay, well that's where we'll wrap it up tonight. And
I got one thing to put out there that's kind of like a news event.
what?
It's only taken a couple minutes, but I got Mark Goatee got hold of me today, and he was able to talk to Harley Davidson in Fort Wayne, and they're having a big bike show on the 24th of September,
Nice.
and they're letting them set up a table.
Oh, nice.
You know, so we'll probably need some people to help them man it. I don't know how any other details if it's just one day or whatever. But he's going to need some material. Probably get Ed's, banner stand and banners if we can get him a couple. I don't think we'll be able to get any print material from the print store. They're getting pretty lean anyway, and they're starting to charge for stuff. I got 100 pocket constitutions coming. I can give them like 25 of those. I got some other, handouts and things in my inventory.
I've got stuff I can give them.
What?
I've got some material too.
Okay. Rick, I told him to get hold of you, as the event coordinator. I think he tried to get hold of you earlier today, but wasn't able to make contact.
Well, I was gone all day.
Okay. Yeah, it's Mark Gootee, Gootee.
Okay.
Where'd you get those pocket constitutions, George?
I ordered them. I'd have to look up where the link, where I got them from. Though it was, I don't remember. The more you order, the cheaper it is. I got them for 44 cents a piece.
You did.
They're only like $1 a piece.
Hillsdale College also gives them away if you request them.
What, Hillsdale College? Yeah, I looked at that, and what I got from it was they'll send you one.
Oh, I got 50
where they
for
offered
once.
I got a bunch from them one time, but it's been a long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still do it or not.
we can pursue that.
I looked around and because I've got a church wanting some, and all I could find was they're costing about $1 a piece now.
Yeah, I'll get that link up and send it to you, Dale.
All right.
You can order as many as you want, and the more you order, the cheaper they are.
Okay.
George, did you get a couple of emails from me regarding materials? Did you see those?
Yeah, I'm putting something together for you. Is the information that I got, and I got to take an inventory of what I've got, and and as far as what's available on the print shop anymore, maybe some other sources. But yeah, I got your email. I'm working on it.
Okay, I think
Date of the event?
we can supposedly work through the National to get them to pay for some of this stuff. So if we can get a list together of what we need to build up a satisfactory inventory, then I can submit the funding request for that and see if we can get them to pay for all that.
Yeah, we used to have at our table in Fort Wayne, we had a couple almost like newsletter. They were like 3 pages long, or 3 to 5 pages long, and the middle section talked about our opposition. You remember those, Gary? They were like gray. I haven't seen any of those around anywhere.
Ed might still have some.
Can we get more?
Hey, on this Harley Davidson table on such short notice, Ed may be the. I don't know if Ed could take care of that, but he may be the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm going to try calling him tomorrow. I was going to try calling him tonight, but I didn't get home in time.
Yeah, get with Vicki and Mark and Ed and try to get everybody together on a conference call, maybe figure it out.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool that Mark took the initiative and you know, contact. I guess he heard that they're having the bike show and asked him. He said, I got hold of them, and they said, sure.
Cool. That's great.
Well, I'll tell you this gun show coming up in Indianapolis. This could be a really big one down there for us.
Yeah. There is no state fair this year, but the gun show is in one of the buildings in the state fair grounds. I plan on
Okay,
being
guys,
there.
that's it for tonight, and see you at the strategy meeting on the 17th.
Alrighty.
All right,
Okay,
guys.
thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
No. Thanks for letting me bend your ear.